Hey, what's up, guys? This is Andrew Smirsick with Combat Training. I'm here today with Jeremy and Paul of F.I.G.H.T Training LLC. I've been doing some stuff with them, and they got a lot of cool shit that I've been learning about. Some new stuff, some different takes on things, and I'm really trying to promote the industry and show you good people. So they were nice enough to sit down with us. Y'all want to say hello?
Yeah, hey, how's it going, guys? Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thanks for bringing us on.
Yeah.
Thanks for the time. So I'm going to ask them some questions. We're going to get into it. I got some basic things I want to talk about. I want you all to have a chance to get to know them and to get to know what they're about. So first off, Jeremy, we'll start with you. Where are you from?
Atlanta.
Grew up there your whole life?
Atlanta. No, you know, I was a military brat,
Mm-hmm.
so I've traveled a lot of different places about every 3 years. I call Atlanta home.
Mm-hmm.
I just like the South. Sweet tea, nice people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Paul, how about you?
Tennessee, originally.
Tennessee?
I come up from the mountains, so I'm
Right.
one of the mountain boys.
Yeah.
The mountains of Tennessee.
If I wasn't such a good dad, I'd be in Tennessee right now.
Yeah, there you
It's
go.
nice up there.
Beautiful country. Beautiful
I bet it's a
country.
lot cooler in Tennessee
Oh, hell
than
yeah.
it is out here right now. Huh?
What is it, about 95, 105 heat index, something like that.
Soul crushing.
Yeah.
So what got you guys into shooting?
Well, you know, obviously I have a law enforcement background.
Yes.
And, you know, I think what really got me into shooting was my father and my grandfather, and I think that's the case with most guys and gals that grew up in America. You know, we start with dad or grandfather, or even mom in some cases, you know?
Yeah.
And we just start building the fundamentals of shooting, and, you know, it gets us into the sport. We really like it, and, you know, we just grow from there. I think that's what got me into
heritage.
it.
I mean, like what we do, what we train, we teach, we kind of leave that as a legacy. I am somebody's legacy. You know, that was left to me. So that's, you know, I was born into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Family thing?
Oh, yeah.
Right on, man.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then what made you guys want to get into training?
Well, earlier I said I had a law enforcement background.
Yes.
And one of the things that, you know, was very, very eye-opening to me in law enforcement, and we actually use this as a catchphrase for the company. If you go to the website and stuff like that, we say no law ever prevented a crime. And no one at this table here today can name one law in our country that has prevented a crime. And as a law enforcement officer, guess what I've seen day after day?
Crime?
Crime. And with crime comes victims.
Yes.
Okay? And, you know, I'm sitting back one day, and I'm thinking, and I'm contemplating. The gears are rolling through my head, and I said, you know, how can I better serve my community? How can I better serve people, victims? How can I better serve them? Okay? And what better way not to be a victim?
Than to teach people how.
Yeah, and to teach people how to defend themselves. And I think, you know, that's the direction I went in. I'm very, very happy I went in that direction. I really am.
And, you know, I mean, I'm a lifelong student, and, you know, I know the struggles I went through trying to find places to learn what actually works, what tools that I need to actually defend myself correctly. And I reflect on that struggle, and I've made the mistakes. I've found what works, and I want to be able to share that. So hopefully I can prevent other people from making similar mistakes. You know, help them to understand what works before they find themselves in a situation where they really wish they knew what works. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
well said, yeah.
Now, on that note, you're talking about trying to see what works, trying to better serve the community. And I know this is a subject matter like we have been talking about several times. When you look at training, like a new shooter, and they're getting their CCW class, what are your feelings on that?
The CCW class specific to Florida, or the CCW classes in general, or
Like the average CCW class that someone's going to get. I have my opinion. I'm pretty sure I understand yours very well. I want everyone else to be able to hear.
Well, so, you know, when it comes, and you know, there again, when I say this, I'm speaking specifically here in the state of Florida, Okay, because I know different states have different laws when it comes to concealed carry classes and what's mandated by law and different things like that. And one thing that I have noticed about Florida is it really leaves the class up to the individual instructor to define proficiency in the state here. And does that work well all the time? I would say probably not. If you think about it, we've got gun shops that are doing concealed weapons classes. In the back of the gun shop, they're using a 22. They're going out back and they're shooting a bullet into a bucket. I've seen it. I think we've all seen it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and how does that help the student?
Yeah, how does that prepare them for anything?
It doesn't. I mean, and so looking at it objectively and saying, let's talk about that for a second. Okay, so we have a new shooter that doesn't have any experience, whatsoever with a firearm. They go and they talk to the guy in the gun shop. They buy a gun. Of course, they're excited about their purchase. It's a big step for someone to buy a firearm. It's a huge step, and it's a huge step in the right direction. So they buy this or purchase this firearm, and they go to this concealed carry class. Okay, and they're getting a certificate to take to the government, specifically here in this case, the state of Florida, to be issued that concealed carry permit.
Yeah.
And they fire a 122 round into a bucket. They go to the government. They turn the certificate in. They have their card, and now they are carrying a firearm concealed.
Yeah, it's a false sense of security
in a crowded environment, 110%, and
Unfortunately, that's what I think the average CCW class is a false sense of security. And another unfortunate aspect of that is we run into, we got a lot of people coming through. And a lot of times people come to get a concealed weapons license after something has happened.
Yeah.
After they've had a close call.
Yeah.
After that scare has occurred. And sometimes after they've become a victim. And to me, the concealed weapons license is great, but I would like people to look at training more objectively than I need to pass a government standard to get my little piece of plastic that say I can carry a firearm. They should look at training as a whole, not as I'm passing a qualification. It should be I'm capable of defending myself, and I need to get the training to get me to the point to where I am capable to defend myself. And not to get too far off topic, but a lot of people, they take a concealed weapons class, and that's it. They have their piece of plastic, they carry their gun one or two times, something happens, maybe they drop it getting out of the car going into Walmart.
Yeah.
Then they never carry it again. And people should conceal carry. It's our right, it's our individual right to do so. But at the same time, a concealed weapons license class is first steps. And ideally, one would think before you go past a qualification, you would already know what you're doing. Yeah. But from what I've seen in an overwhelming amount of people, it's the first time they shot a gun, they go to a concealed weapons class. You're not ready to carry a gun. You're not ready to defend yourself. And if you think that 122 bullet in the bucket's enough, well, your family going to your funeral will tell you a different story.
Yeah, and that's the reality of it. I mean, if you look at carry concepts and different things like that specifically relate to concealed carry, there's a lot of things that happen in a violent encounter.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you have to be able to get that gun out of the holster. You have to be able to get that gun pushed out on threat. And there's a lot of things going on with the human body while all that's going on. There's a lot of different chemicals being dumped and things like that. And shooting a 22 into a bucket is not preparing you, okay, for a violent fight for your life in a crowded environment. It isn't.
And that's something I think's lacking in a lot of concealed weapons training, because you need to train your body how to operate a tool, but you need to train your mind how to survive that encounter. And training your mind is just as, if not more important, on how to use one of these. And I think that's something that's majorly lacking in the issue is mindset. Trying to help people understand that, hey, when you strap that thing to you, you need to strap on a different mindset as well. And if you don't have that mindset, find people who can help you understand what that mindset is.
Right. And guys, I want you to understand something too.
Sweat.
We fucking love the Second Amendment, right? That's why we're doing what we're doing.
Oh, 110%, yeah.
And what we're talking about here isn't what is the qualification level to carry a gun? We're talking about holding yourself to a higher standard.
To a higher standard,
Yeah.
yes.
Good way to put it.
And you know, let's say this, okay? Do I believe that the government should mandate a class for us to carry? No, I don't believe that at all. Listen. I'm one of those guys. I don't think we should have concealed carry permits. Okay, and I know that sounds like maybe I countered what I just said previously. Maybe, I don't know. It's up to you to decide that. But my thing is this. Look, government, state of Florida, if you're going to force us to take a concealed carry class, let's do it the right way. Okay? Let's do it the right way. And the right way is not shooting a .22 caliber bullet in a bucket behind a gun shop. Bottom line.
Not at all.
Okay.
And it's something that's really on the people to seek that training on their
It
own.
is.
And like you said, it's a false sense of security, right? Now, I'm gonna jump ahead in what I wrote down. Well, actually, no. Holy shit, we're like falling right through. It's like I'm amazing at playing or something. But
good interviewer.
the next thing I want to talk about is like, okay, so it's a false sense of security, right? Most people's knowledge on firearms and the way they're implemented is based off myths. Racking a shotgun,
Hollywood,
is scary sounding,
Hollywood, yeah,
right?
yeah,
Don't have to
yeah.
aim that shit and all that. Anyways, what we've talked about before is the 3 feet, 3 seconds, 3 rounds. Now, this is something that often gets misinterpreted as you don't need to know that much. You don't need to be that good, right? And the training I did with you guys was all about that. And to put in context what 3 feet, 3 seconds, 3 rounds means is that when they're close to you, you have to be on your fucking game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
So what is it that you guys are doing with that style of training? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, simple. Listen, guys. Gun fight. And what we do is we put fight back into gunfight. You mentioned 3 feet, 3 seconds, 3 shots, and I think that was an FBI statistic.
Yeah.
And what we have to remember is as citizens of the state of Florida that are concealed carrying our firearm in public to defend ourselves or someone else, we're in a very uncontrolled environment in very close quarters with people. Okay? And every single shot that comes out of the barrel of that gun, we're accountable for it. Okay? And
Your life is attached to it.
Oh yeah, definitely. You're and you know what? Not only your life is attached to it, okay? But your mistake could affect many people.
Yep.
It could affect people generationally.
Yeah.
Okay? It really could. And so, are you here's what you need to ask yourself if you're going to conceal carry, okay? Are you proficient at getting the gun out of the holster safely and effectively to get that gun on threat?
Yeah, and because a lot of times when people think of training, they think shooting. Shooting is the only training. I need to be able to accurately put my bullet where I want it to go. And sure, that's a part of it. But that's just a small part of it.
And really, that's just practice.
That's
training.
Exactly.
Yeah, 10, 15,000 repetition, guys. That equals muscle memory.
It's
to
training.
the average person. Yeah.
Training in totality. It's eliminating the threat from A to B. What do I need to do? There's a threat. How do I stop the threat? Training is that whole process, right? It's not just shooting the gun. It's mental cognitive ability. It's thinking your way through something. Like, what is our greatest tool, right? In a fight, what's our greatest tool? Right there. What's in our war chest? What have we done to prepare ourselves for this situation? And in close quarter, people get into the CQB and stuff of that effect. And yeah, it's what we need to train with. But people also get hung up on tactics that work for some situations, but not others. And something I see a lot is group tactics being taught to an individual.
Yeah.
If you're the first, second, third guy on a SWAT team, right? And you're doing a stacked entry. Well, how you clear that, how you engage that threat, night and day difference to if you're one guy trying to look through your house and find a bad guy.
Right.
Right? Same with military training. Military training is group unit training. It's fantastic stuff. But is it going to do you a lot of good as a one-man army?
Yep.
And, you know, we run across these guys, and man, it's kind of funny. We run across these guys, and we say, okay, well, you know, if you have multiple threats kicking your front door, okay, and your child's in a bedroom down the hallway, are you not going to try to get to that child?
Yep.
And, you know, listen, you can tell me all day long, okay? I wouldn't do that.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I would call, yeah. No. Listen, if you're a parent, you know.
Yeah.
yeah.
You're going down that hallway, okay?
And not just that, it's like who's going for what, right?
Right.
What is dad doing versus what's mom doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
You know, there's a lot of dynamics that play into that.
What's the plan for the kid right there?
Right.
Have you talked about it, you know?
And there's a lot of background going to it, and we run into that a lot. And you know, if you get on YouTube and you start looking up people, and there's a lot of good information out there. There's a lot of good guys on it, but there's also a lot of idiots. And there's people that'll get on there and say, oh, you would never clear a house by yourself. You just wouldn't do that. Well,
Yeah,
bullshit,
okay.
You're not going to do that. You know, every time they stab your wife in the face and you hear her scream, are you just going, oh, that guy on YouTube said I can't clear this house by myself because I might die.
That's not reality.
It's
Yeah.
also it's a context thing. People lose context very
Of course they
easily.
do, yeah.
Just like, okay, for instance, one thing I always related to, Marine Corps rifle range, right? Okay, you shot awesome on the rifle range. You got perfect, never miss a shot. Okay, what does that mean when you're in the squad?
Well,
that means you can make a good shot. Can you clear a room? Can you be in the right position on a patrol? Do you know how to react to a left, left side, near side ambush? What are you gonna do? There's way more to it
Than just
press
being
the button.
accurate.
a whole lot more to it. And then the big question that you have to ask is are you even gonna react?
Yeah.
Are you even gonna fire that shot?
Yep.
You got your about the that sheriff or deputy, I believe it was the guy who worked at the Parkland.
Oh yeah,
School.
that's been all over the news. That's been
Yep.
it's a hot topic, hot subject.
Because that's something else is people would you have different sides to it, right? Some people say I would go in there, I would take care of it, right? No training, okay? And then you have people on the left saying you wouldn't do anything because that guy didn't do anything.
Well, I'll say this about anything that has to do with that stuff, and here's my thing, okay? And I said it earlier. No law ever prevented a crime.
Exactly.
Okay, so we know that. It is our responsibility. It is our responsibility, okay, as humans and as citizens, in my opinion, in the United States of America, to defend ourselves and our family. It is our responsibility. And that's granted to us in the Constitution, and in my opinion, is granted to us by God.
Inalienable
Okay?
right.
Yeah. And, so is it someone else's responsibility to defend you or your family? No. No.
Not even their obligation.
It's not.
You know, we talked about Parkland, right? Well, what did the Florida Supreme Court say on that?
Then they say that law enforcement has no obligation to protect you.
So that whole serve and protect.
On top of that, this is obvious stuff to us, right?
Right, well, yeah.
And not everyone thinks about it. Where are the police? How long does it take them to get there? Now, when they get there, what is the standard they're held to, and is that a bottom line? Are they able to handle everything? Because I just saw a video, Aaron Cowan shooting the FBI qualification with no sights, right? It's not that hard of a standard from what I've seen, and I've heard it from instructors, I've heard it from law enforcement, I've heard it from everyone that like the qualifications and the training is lacking. And I know from my experience, military, right? Civilian side's got the best fucking training going on. That goes to SF, kind of trickles down, and then 40 years later, it's at the bottom level, right, where the entry level guys are getting it. So with that, the thing to think about is, are they going to be there, and are they going to be able to handle it? Are they going to be able to handle that situation?
Wow.
And could you be better than that, right? Because you're there.
I think when we talk about men and women uniform, when we talk about law enforcement officers and things like that, I think 110% that agencies are hiring people that have the aptitude and things like that to handle a situation. I think what it comes down to is there enough money in the budgeting in these individual departments, wherever those departments may be? Is there enough money in the budget to afford to train the law enforcement officers properly? And then what is the standards of training, okay? And what is proper training?
Yeah.
And, there again, you have to look at officer safety and a lot of different things like that. I mean, at the end of the day, police officers have a very, very hard job, man.
Fuck yeah.
Very hard job. It's a scary job. And, I know I've been there, done that, okay? Yeah. And, we have to make decisions very fast, and the decisions that we make could affect us or someone else for the rest of their lives.
Not only that, like a Marine goes on deployment, he comes back, he has a couple weeks to cool down. You go home to your wife and kids, and then you're back out the next
Exactly,
day.
Yeah. And a lot of the police officers are working 12-hour shifts, 17-hour shifts, and some even 20-hour shifts.
Damn.
And then, on top of the shift that they work, the overtime they work at the department, a lot of them still can't afford a good living with that salary, that wage, even with that overtime.
So you're not going to get rich wearing a badge.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to get rich wearing a badge. So what ends up happening is these law enforcement officers pick up part-time jobs, on the civilian side of things, and they're stacking even more hours on top of the hours that they're already working. It's a very high-stress job.
Just sleep alone.
And in saying that, I mean,
God.
I want to make it clear. I mean, I fully support law enforcement. I mean, I stand behind our law enforcement. We deal with law enforcement. I won't mention any departments. They're a great bunch of guys and gals. And like he's saying, it's not a job I could do. It's not a job I would choose to do. So I'm glad somebody does it.
Fuck yeah.
And so I fully support law enforcement. And a lot of times I think it's more of a higher bureaucracy that trickles down.
100%. They're bound by standard operating procedure of the department.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, and I'm not gonna mention the name, but we have a good friend, and he was involved in a violent encounter that had to do with a knife. Okay. And, he was stabbed multiple times in defending himself. He stabbed a gentleman multiple times. And, did the police department rush in? No. While he bled out in a chair, I believe it was the SWAT team, if I'm not mistaken, or, some kind of special operations.
SWAT team together because they had to respawn. Paramedics outside waiting to get in. They won't come in until the SWAT team clears the room.
So there again, we go back to the original statement, guys, no law ever prevented a crime. And it's your responsibility to defend yourself and your family. Yeah. Bottom line.
Yep.
And that's another point of training, when we think about getting a concealed weapons license, okay, we're going to carry a tool that can put a nasty hole in you. But a lot of people never think about, well, how do we fix that hole if it gets put in us? No. Self-medical, right? I mean, how many people actually even consider that when they start to carry a firearm?
Right.
I mean, the medical aspect of it, how to use a tourniquet, just simple stuff. You don't got to go above and beyond.
Flashlights,
the EDC right there.
Yeah,
right?
and that's the thing.
Got any money in there?
Guys out there, let me tell you, anybody out there that's watching this, just remember, when you purchase a firearm, you should also purchase a tourniquet and quick clot. That's just my opinion. You have a firearm in your home, you should have a tourniquet in your home, and possibly quick clot. Whatever you want to call it. Stop the bleed kit. There's a million names for this stuff out there. The bottom line is that's a big part of responsible firearm ownership.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, knowing what to do after the bang in any situation. If you have a negligent discharge and you shoot a hole through your foot, you need to know what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, safety's a big part of it.
I'm glad you said negligent discharge. Not, it was an accidental discharge, right?
And let me say, there's no such thing
went off.
as an accident.
I don't know how that went off.
I mean,
if you're breaking firearm safety rules, that's negligence.
That's negligence. It's like a car accident. We use those terms to make people feel better because they really screwed up and hurt somebody. And that's why we use the term car accident. And I think, an accidental discharge is the same thing. You racked a round off, you was being stupid, and to make you feel better, we'll call it an accident, right? I mean, God didn't come down and put his finger on that trigger.
Nope, you did.
Exactly. And so there's no such thing, in my opinion, as an accidental discharge. So.
Okay. All right. Hang on. Let me look at time real quick because I might have to split the recording. Okay. We're at 24 minutes. I'm going to cut it right here. and then we're going to keep recording more. And I really like where this is going. Hey, welcome back, guys. We just want to split that video. That way we can get the whole recording and we don't lose anything. So the next part I want to talk about, next question I have is what made you guys get into training kids? I see the girls that are out here all the time, and they're slaying it, and I love seeing that. What drove you into that?
Well, a couple of different things, and our company has a very large youth group. Obviously, we're training kids anywhere from 7 years old to 18 years old, and a lot of what you see on video is Arabella Meeks, and Brennan Morrow. And, they're between the ages of 10 and 12, and so we talk about victims, okay, and how do we prevent victims?
Yeah.
Well, my philosophy is we prevent it before it happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So luckily, here in Florida, when we established the company and stuff, we were able to run into parents who had the same mindset that said, listen, we don't want our kids to ever be a victim or become a victim. And, they came to us and, it's a sport.
It is.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sport that builds confidence, just like football or hockey or cheerleading or anything else.
And earlier, I used the word legacy earlier, right?
Yes.
Well,
Legacy.
kids are our future legacy, and we're a little part of that, right? So what these kids learn now, when we're old and gone, that's something we're leaving behind that we can instill in younger people now, right? And it shapes the future of our country. It shapes the future of the communities we're going to live in when we're old, right? Mm-hmm. And that gives us a little bit of say, not necessarily in how they think. I don't want to control how or what people think. I do want to help them to think, right? And including this kind of training, because when we train kids, if you followed us at all, it's not 22 shooting at targets, right?
Oh no, I mean
it's the same defensive training we would train with law enforcement, and it's teaching them skills that many adults don't have. Mm-hmm. And it comes back to helping them with their legacy, right? The parents that come to us with their kids, it's just a continuation of that. And it's very rewarding. It's very rewarding to see that, to see a young mind soak it up and to grow and to look at them and say, hey, that something happens, that kid knows what to do, and they'll always have that skill. And
you hit that spot on. And if you look at shooting sports in general, okay, you have IDPA, you have IPSC, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm saying those right, we're not into the gaming. Okay,
yeah.
Obviously, I'm not running around and with a $5,000 gun.
Keep it pointed at the berm now.
Doing all that stuff. That's not what we're doing, okay? We're running stock Glocks and
don't you love when those guys give you advice?
Yeah. And it's great and all. And listen, guys, I love the sport of shooting, and I have no problems with competition shooters and things like that. But what you got to realize is this: for these kids, it's a sport. The only difference is we're teaching them the right way.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The right way. And it starts with fundamentals, target shooting, and then we go into defensive and tactical handgun and rifle handling techniques and things like that. Mm-hmm. And it's a sport. We get out there, and we do that as adults, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got our body armor. It's a sport.
Yeah.
But it's a sport that relates to what?
To fighting.
Yeah, fighting, self-defense, and stuff like that.
That encounter.
Yeah, surviving the violent encounters and stuff like that. And I guarantee you this. Not one of my youth students, I want, since we're out here on the internet and stuff like that, I'm telling you, I guarantee you, not one of my youth students are ever going to be a victim. It's not going to happen. And we know what? No law ever prevented a crime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's a very rewarding thing. Most of us, like most of you guys out there on the internet world, we've all taught somebody how to drive. Maybe a couple years ago, right? Then they come and they pick us up one day, and it's like they're taking us home from the hospital because we're old and fat and can't do it anymore. And it's a useful thing that we've passed on to them. Mm-hmm. That is a reality, man. It's something that they can use that might come back on us one day. Mm-hmm. And if you've ever taught somebody to drive, then that feel of accomplishment that you've passed something from here and you put it into another human.
If I may interrupt.
No, go for
One
it.
thing I like about that too is, of course, like you guys said, your family got you into shooting, right? And that's awesome. I love that. It is a great bonding experience with your family and a child. You know, when you're that age. But the other thing with it too is, I think, well, you know, are you the one who should be teaching that kid if you're that parent, right? Do you know exactly what they need to learn and what or how to articulate that? Because teaching is a skill on its own.
It is, yeah.
Talking
definitely
is a skill on its own.
Well, it's
you know?
evaluating. You know, you evaluate people, you get to know them. You know, you take it easy at first, and you find out what they're mentally capable of. And you know, some people shouldn't teach their kids, right? I mean, some people shouldn't be so defensive themselves. I mean, think about it. Somebody's out in that pond drowning. My fat ass ain't gonna go out there and save them. I swim like a damn 2x4. I bob, float, and sink a little bit. So I mean, I'm not gonna be the guy to go save that dude who's drowning, right? So I mean, we should seek people who know better.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And I love that you guys are doing that. You're having that program for the kids, and it's something beyond, you know, like you said, shooting 22s at a target, right?
Yeah. And you know, let's face it. The truth is, if you're gonna have a gun in your house, okay.
Kids need to know.
You know,
Yeah.
we talk
Yeah.
about firearms safety and things like that. And I know the state of Florida has a lot of stuff that's out on firearms safety with the children and stuff like that. But bottom line, you have a firearm in your house. Your kid should be safe with that firearm. And in my humble professional opinion, they should be proficient with it.
Yeah,
Should.
Bottom line, that kid, once they're of age to cognitively be able to do it and things like that, should be able to pick up that gun, unload that gun, load that gun, make that gun safe. You know, and when we look at the kids in our youth training program and stuff like that, you know, I know I had a parent come to me. You can fix it? You good?
keep going.
All right. He's fixing it, but I'll keep talking. So I had a parent come to me and say, you know, Jeremy, listen, I feel really good about what my child has been learning. And, you know, I said, well, can you expand on that a little bit? You know, because I always want to get feedback on the training programs and stuff like that. And they said, you know, a lot of what I was worried about with firearms is I was worried about my child going to another home with a firearm in it and getting a hold of that firearm.
Yep.
Okay. And you know, how many guns do we have in America?
Like 400 million.
Okay. So the chances of your child going to a
Underestimate.
friend's house and encountering a firearm at that house is there.
Yeah.
You know, there's a logical chance that could happen. And, you know, I feel like the students that go through our youth program and stuff like that are going to be those kids that when that firearm gets picked up out of that closet, they're going to know exactly what to do. They're going to know to go get an adult or go
Yep.
get a parent. And if there's not an adult or a parent around, because let's face it, there's some irresponsible parents out there, and that's just a fact. You know, just like laws don't prevent crimes, right? And when we have that irresponsible parent, you know, that child can get that gun in a safe manner, unload that gun and secure that gun, and then go find a responsible adult and no accidents. I mean, you know, there's a million ways that this could unfold. Okay, and I'm not going to sit here on video and go through every way and this and that and this and that, but the bottom line is this. The feedback I'm getting from the parents, I feel safer. Okay? I feel like my kid is safer with the training than without, and that's what's important.
It is.
If I may cut in real quick too, you're hitting all the points. I just want to say, like, your kids are gonna fuck with your guns.
Yeah.
They're gonna. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
I did it. You guys
You
probably
get
did it.
these
Well,
naysaying people out
you know?
there, and they look at something like this, and it terrifies them because they're afraid of it.
Yep.
Right? And there's a stigma going on here. But what's funny is we teach our kids about cars.
yeah, we do.
Hey, 5-year-old, you know not to open the door and jump out of the car going 70 miles an hour down the highway.
Yeah,
You know not to reach over and grab the emergency brake and yank it while mom's trying to hook around a turn. You know how to wear a seatbelt. You know what to happen in the event of an accident. You know not to stand behind the damn thing. We know how to use a crosswalk, and that's part of being safe around a car.
Right.
Car is a 3,000-pound guided missile.
Yep.
Can do a lot of
110%.
damage with a car. And we teach our kids, young kids, how to be safe around them. And then we blindly trust the rest of the world. Think of the last time you've seen a parent and a kid walking down a sidewalk. You're driving by at 60 miles an hour. They're 5 feet to the right of you.
Yeah.
You make one little mess up, you just killed them.
Yep.
Right? But that's we accept that level of danger because the car is seen as a necessary tool. It gets us from A to B. A lot of us see this as a necessary tool, right? And if you see that as a necessary tool, teach the safety. It's no different than a car, and that's just how I look at it, right?
Absolutely. And the other thing on top of that too is like, okay, one of my things is if you're an adult or even emancipate, right? Or excuse me, is that the correct term? You know, when you're 17 and then you're an adult, you're on
I don't know. You know,
that thing. Anyways, y'all control me for that.
Listen, I'm from the South, so I come up with all kinds of crazy words that don't make sense to a lot of people, so we'll take it. You know,
my personal Rickyism, you know, if you're an adult, you're on your own. You should be able to fucking protect yourself. You shouldn't like this bullshit in Florida where you have to be 21 to purchase, 21 to carry. That's retarded. And on top of that, I know people are saying, well, if you're military or law enforcement, then you don't have to be. Fuck that too. You shouldn't have to risk your life on behalf of the government to have God-given and constitutionally given rights. You can be thrown in jail, for doing any number of horrible things. You have to pay child support, taxes.
Yeah.
Could be drafted in a war to fight against Russia because of what the liberals want.
Well,
and that boils down to lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
well, think about the car, right? I mean,
I'm sorry. Let me just finish this rant.
Yeah, get it out.
But on top of that, right? You have to be 21. Can't be trusted 18. The fucking bad guy, no law ever prevented a crime.
Right.
The fucking bad guy does not give a shit how old you are if he wants to rape and murder you.
No.
Okay? And on top of that, myself, age 13, all the way up till now, I was safer handling guns, weapons, than many men much older than me now. When I worked in the gun store, how many times did I see a dude take a gun and point it right across the store, right? You know, at a whole shitload of people. How many times did I have to clear the weapon for them because they didn't understand that there's bullets in the magazine and in the chamber, right?
That's part of that fundamental understanding of how a tool works.
Exactly.
That's why kids need to have that, man. And it's like if you look at driving a car, you can get a hardship license at the age of 14.
Yes.
Then you're trusted to drive a several thousand-pound guided missile and not plow over little Timmy walking down the sidewalk. You're trusted just like every other person is. But yet this horrible, evil, scary little thing here is so dangerous and evil, right, that you can't be trusted to use it until you're 21. But yet you can sign up for the military and you can go take a bullet for Uncle Sam. But you can't carry a gun. But you get off duty. But you get back home. I've known cops that are, 19?
I've worked with cops that couldn't go into a gun store and buy ammunition to train with.
Yeah, and that gets to the complete ignorance of law and how political opinion and fear dictates our real life. Now, I won't go down the rabbit hole, right? I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole. But
as long as my SD card doesn't fill up, you got that. You got that. Go for it.
But we get restricted, and it's based off our forefathers and before them, their opinions and their fear is what has shaped and dictated the laws that we deal with today. If you're watching this video, you should know what the NFA Act is, right?
Yeah.
You should roughly know when it came about and the people who brought it about. Like, gun control is not a new thing. This has been going on for a long time. If you're watching this video, I hope you know what an SOT3 is, Special Occupational Tax. If you're going to get a suppressor, if you're going to get a selective fire, on that's a $200 tax.
Well, the majority of people out there, Paul, they don't even know what the Second Amendment is.
Well, hopefully these guys knows what I'm talking. If not, message and comment him. He'll fill you in. But think about it. $200 tax, right? Go back to 1921, 1922. How much is $200?
It's fucking
a lot of money. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was the goal of the NFA Act, was to take most firearms out of the hands of the common person and preserve it only for rich people. Hey, you want a Vulcan M134 machine gun? 308 Gatling gun, man. This thing's a beast, right? If you know what this is, you can have one for $270,000, $300,000. Machine guns aren't illegal. They're restricted to rich people. right? So I won't go down that rabbit hole, but a lot of the laws we have pertaining, especially like to age and carry of guns and where you can and can't take a gun, it's fear of people who have long died.
And it's also fear of those who are ignorant.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if you do have an opinion on this, and you're like, hey, I don't think you should be able to have this and that, you should know what you're talking about first off.
Well, if you tell me that I can drive a car, right, and I can stop at a crosswalk and not mow everybody over, then you shouldn't say I can't have a gun.
Right?
Well, you guys are getting me all excited with this hoorah constitutional talk. I think I'm going to run to the truck and get my AR-14 out.
You want hit double barrel shotgun.
Just rack it off. They'll run away.
All right. Well, you know, the 1911 won 2 world wars.
You know this 9mm will bounce off your skull, right? I'm not endorsing that. Don't try it. Don't
Well,
try
actually,
it.
the funny thing is that the whole 40 cal thing is, I saw, I'll plug it in, but in the description. But there's a video where a dude shoots a dog that's running up at him.
Poor
that
dog.
far away. Well, it's
Aggressive dog.
Yeah,
Aggressive
yeah.
dog. Roof, aggressive, right? Rawr or whatever.
we shot him with a 40 cal.
Aggressive.
That shit was laying on the driveway. It does bounce off, and that's another thing why you need training. That's a myth, right? You know that like you only need one round.
That's them 45 AARP people out there. No, I love the 45 ACP. Don't get me wrong, but you know what? Most people know what 1911 model firearms are. I don't know if a lot of people realize what the number 1911 stands for. It's the year the damn thing went into service.
Yeah, service.
1900,
Not even the years invented.
1911. So it's a fine gun. I have no problem with it. The 1911 platform is a proven platform, so all those guys say, oh, it won 2 world wars. Yeah, sure. Here's the thing, man. I mean, I love a 1969 Dodge Charger. Right? Fantastic car. Big block.
Beautiful car.
4-speed in the floor.
Vroom, vroom.
Oh, yeah. Is it a safe car? No, not at all. Hit a mosquito going too fast, you'll fly through the windshield. Is it easy to drive? Nope. Is it comfortable? It is not. Is it fuel efficient? No, not even a little bit. Man, it looks good. Is it fast? No. Right? Your average minivan can outrun one, right? Look that up. I'm not making that up, right? Modern little 4-bangers are faster than what our great muscle cars used to be. Fantastic. I love a 69 Charger. But if I'm going to drive myself around every day, I'm going to pick up my groceries, I'm going to, stuff my, whoever in the back seat, I'm going to have all these screaming kids with me, I'm going to do this, that, or the other, and then some idiot's going to pull out in front of me while I'm going 60 miles an hour, and I'm going to plow him over. Well, give me a 2020 Dodge Charger any day. Right? So 1911 is great. Put it in the garage and polish it and look at it. Go day to day, catch up to the modern world. Be nice to me.
Actually, one thing, I was going to make a video talking about why you don't want backstraps and,
Backstrap safety.
and, thumb safeties and all that. But one of the things that you guys showed me that I knew about it, if your weapon's out of battery because you're pressing it against someone, pressing it into battery to make that shot, it's not something that really went through my mind a lot because I'm like, I've got the Surefire, I know to do that thing, but one-handed that you guys showed me were, if I may.
Go ahead.
Where if the weapon is out of battery, right, and you put your thumb on the back to break that shot, you can't even really do that shit if you got a backstrap safety. And that was like another thing because I always discourage people from XTs.
Sometimes there's a disconnect between gun manufacturers and people who train to defend themselves with the guns.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times the gun manufacturers, they're sell. And, the average person looks at something with 10 safeties on it and a backstrap safety and all these great things and says, oh, that's what I need because I can't have a accidental discharge with this thing because it has 10 safeties on it, a backstrap and this and that. And,
It's not gonna have
the truth of the matter is finger to frame and train. Okay. And
good holster.
there you go. Good holster, things like that. And that's, so.
I'll do you one better on that. I need this is a customer I had. I need double action, thumb safety, backstrap safety, because if my kid gets a hold of it, and I'm like, your kid got a hold of it, you're fucking wrong already.
What is it, a Rubik's Cube? I mean,
Think about that.
my kid gets a hold of this thing, he's going to have to go through 10 safeties before he shoots himself. Let me tell you something, guy. This is just my humble opinion as, well, a self-proclaimed professional in firearms training. All right, if your kid has the gun in his hands long enough to go through all that stuff, you're a horrible parent.
Yeah. You've already lost with the guy, and at
Put him
that
in a
point, they
safe.
should have training too.
I don't know.
Yeah,
But
and you know,
I'm saying,
that's a
you
whole.
got to go to your kid to figure out how your cell phone works, right? Your kid can probably figure out how your gun.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, that's placebo. And,
Hey,
and that's
and
what all
who's
that
not
stuff
going to
is.
their kids to figure out how their cell phone works, right?
Okay, all right. So let's move forward, and we can wrap this up. There's two major points that we have been talking about here and there, but I want to hit these directly. What is the future of training considered what it was, what it is now? What is the future?
Well, and this is just an opinion. A couple of things. First of all, I think that red dots are the future.
Okay.
Okay. And I think we're going to see more and more training classes with red dots involved. I think we're going to have more and more guns with red dots. If you look at the current trend right now with firearms manufacturers and stuff like that, they're having the MOS come out. There's a couple firearms manufacturers that are actually including red dots on the firearms when they're shipping from the manufacturer or producer or whatever you want to call it out to the general public. So I think red dots are going to be big and get bigger. And I think that later on we're going to see a lot of them. And I think that's going to start becoming the standard. The other thing, you know, when we talk about training is we've been at war for 20 years.
Yeah, perpetual warfare.
Yeah.
And it's not going away.
And a lot of those techniques and tactics and stuff like that are being utilized overseas are coming here, and they're good. And you know, let me say, in my opinion, they directly relate, okay, to defensive stuff here in the United States.
Yeah.
Listen, our soldiers, okay, their mission has changed. They do more, and this is just opinion, they do a lot of policing.
Yep.
They do more police action overseas than they do actual soldiering, combat fight, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so I think you're going to see more and more of this coming out, and you know, I'm excited about the future of training, and I think, you know, as a society we're getting more and more educated on tractor in the background. We're getting more and more educated on guns and weapons and stuff like that. And I think more and more people are seeing the importance of defensive, tactical combat, pistol and rifle training. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, that the old adage of, you know, standing on the line at 10 yards, not moving and just shooting, I think that's kind of going away. Mm-hmm. And I think we're going to see more dynamic training available and things like that. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, future of training, I mean, a lot of this depends on how proactive we are going forward, like with the youth group. How are things going to change? 'Cause training is a trickle-down effect of law. It's a trickle-down effect of society's norms, right? And as long as firearms, self-defense, the Second Amendment is part of American normal society, I think we'll see a continual growth and evolution of training. But what we got to watch out for, right? As society in certain places, especially in this country, goes against this, right? Where you can't even carry this. You can't even possess one unless it's their particular special little model that can't have a grip on it and all this other stuff. As those laws evolve and as their restrictions evolve, the training is going to either evolve or devolve with it, if that's even a word, right? So I think the future of training, we're going to have to be vigilant. We're going to have to make sure that it's something that is provided and that is always going to be there. Because and we face it, let's face it, our rights are going to only continue to erode, right? The Second Amendment, we're going to continue to lose. History told us this, right? If it didn't, in 1986, they wouldn't have banned machine guns. Everybody, oh, machine guns, oh my God, right? But they banned machine guns in 86. If it's not made before then, you can't own one as a private citizen. Everybody accepted that.
Yep.
Right? Now,
and that's fucking wrong.
The National Firearms Act was 100 years ago. Most people don't realize that. You know, the whole NFA thing's 100 years ago. So society is slowly accepting that these need to go away. And we, as the 2A community, as instructors, need to make sure we don't accept it. Right?
And
that's how we're going to preserve the future of training, in my opinion.
So what can we do to grow the Second Amendment?
Show people that it's not scary.
Yeah.
If you can drive a car, you can operate a firearm. If you're willing to accept the responsibility of being behind the wheel, then you can accept the responsibility of carrying and using one of these things if you have to. Because it's the same responsibility. If you screw up in a car, you cause a wreck, you kill somebody.
Yeah,
right?
and and we need to fight for our Second Amendment.
Yeah.
We need to fight for our
It has
Second
to be
Amendment rights.
proactive.
And we need to utilize our Second Amendment rights.
Yes.
And through fighting for it and using it, hopefully we can keep it.
Mm-hmm.
At least in my lifetime. And hopefully like we was talking with youth and legacy and all that other stuff, it's part of the training aspect to it. Showing parents and kids and all that, hey, this is not something you need to be terrified of. This is not something, and when people are out there talking about it in your yuppie liberal whatever places you're at, and you hear somebody shit talk the Second Amendment, don't put up with it. Because you know different. You've been shown different and experienced different. And hopefully we can translate that through training to people that, hey, there is a necessary need for this. Hopefully before they're a victim. Hopefully they're before all of that. Because people will always be bad. That's not something that's going to evolve out of our society. No bill or law is going to pass. No magic Democrat lefty nut job is going to wave a wand and say, hey, look, there's no more bad people anymore. That's not going to happen. Right? So if there's bad people with whatever, there has to be good people on the other side.
Amazingly, their wand usually creates a lot of bad people.
It sure does.
In a shithole city.
I don't know. My opinion is I know a lot of people like to talk politics and stuff like that, and I don't typically talk a lot of politics. Obviously, I have my own political beliefs and things like that, but one thing I have learned as an instructor, okay, and it's been obvious. Once you become a victim of a crime, okay, politics
don't matter so much.
Don't matter so much. They get thrown out of the window. I'm telling you, I've had students that come to me that were, ultra liberal.
Yeah.
And they became victims of violent crimes, home invasions, whatever. Okay. And this is the truth. And guess where they're at? Out here on the range with a firearm in their hand saying, I am not going to be a victim ever again. Mm-hmm. And that's a fact. And so, politics, no politics, call it what you want. Strip away Second Amendment. Bottom line is this, okay? Every time you attack the Second Amendment, every time you attack it, your chances of becoming a victim increases.
Yeah.
And that's the truth.
And we could get into statistics. We could pull out, let's look at Australia and let's see how this works. Let's look at this country and that. I'm not diving into that.
This isn't Australia.
Exactly.
This is America.
The thing with that, too.
The
thing with that, too. Australia, England, Germany, Japan. I don't care. You know why? Because they're not free people over there. They're subjects, and they accept it. And it's a different culture because of that.
And that's where we're headed if we're not careful, man.
And that, none of that matters to me. The bottom line is this. This is America. Mm-hmm. It's no different than, if I go from Florida to Georgia, guess what? There's different laws in Georgia than there is in Florida. And does that make Georgia a horrible place because they have open carry? No, it doesn't. Okay, it doesn't. And that's a whole nother subject we're not getting on. But the bottom line is this is America. We're not in England. We're not in Australia. We're not in Germany. We're not in Iraq. We're not in Iran. This is America. You're Americans. It's your responsibility to protect yourself and your family. Bottom line. That's it.
And I would appreciate if you protected me too.
Yeah.
Right? So let's protect each other.
Can't agree with you more. You might be the only person in that theater. That movie theater, when the active shooter comes in, that makes sure that my family makes it out alive. And I could very well be that instructor that teaches those techniques and tactics to help you accomplish that. Going home safely at the end of the night, making sure that my family's safe. Mm-hmm. And we want to train every single one of our students to that level. We really do.
Yes.
And that's coming from the heart. That's not, you know, that's not something that we keep in our back pocket as a sales pitch.
That's why we're here.
Yeah,
all the fucking
exactly.
time. You know.
Yeah, this is not rehearsed, by the way.
7 days a week. We're out here at Aries Firearms Training Facility 7 days, 7 days a week. If we're not training people, we're picking brass up off the line. You know, so.
All right, guys. Anything else you want to hit?
No, I think we've avoided rabbit holes enough. I hope I didn't cuss. I might have.
I did it for you. That's
okay.
Look, thanks for watching the video. Stay in the fight.